Okay, welcome everyone to our Calm IE event. We're awfully excited about the event tonight. So I'm Phil Reid, I'm the membership secretary with Vyce, and I'll be co-hosting the event tonight with Iona. So you can kind of see us as Vyce's answer to this morning's Philip and Holly Willoughby. There you go. The age differences maybe a bit. So the reason we're awful excited about the night because it's the night's quite a celebration. All the Scots lead, and you'll hear a real sort of rich sort of variation of all Scots. So you'll be able to hear from myself. I'm a Doric loon hailing from the northeast. Although I've been in Edinburgh for more than a year now, I've kind of held to the tradition of my mother tongue, if you like, and treat it as another language. So when I joined Vyce, I was awful excited to get together with other folk who are passionate about Scots and all. So tonight you'll hear not so much from me, because I'm not singing or anything. I'm just kind of hudding it together a wee bit. Well, I'll try to, if I did drink the bottle of wine aside me. But you'll hear a good selection of songs, poems, and maybe the odd story and so it's just a safe space. I mean, you could imagine us in another time would be in the back room of a pub. The night we're on the internet, but the beauty of that is it allows us to talk fowk together for Ilkey corner of Scotland, which is just amazing. So yeah, and as we go through the night, I'll chip in a wee bit more, tell you a wee bit of what we're trying to do in Vyce and some of the initiatives we've got coming up this year. So it's quite an exciting year for us. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to the first buddy on the list. So Stuart, you've got the joy of that. You weren't originally first in the list, but with it, Emma's running a wee bit late. So if it's okay with you, I pass over to yourself.
Indeed, aye. Well, that woke me up. Thanks very much, Phil. Thank you very much, and it's absolutely magic to be here tonight amongst, I was going to say, a stellar cast of folk, but we all ken each other, we're all buddies, we're all pals, and we're all interested in the young thing, well, the two things, Scottish culture and Scottish language. And I'll read you your two poems just now to get us started off. I've been writing and speaking in Scots for, well, I've been speaking in Scots for I was knee high to a spiog. I've been writing in Scots for a few years, I suppose. And I'm a great believer in Scots as a language in the modern world that should take pairt in the modern world. It's not something that was happening, Ken, back the time of Burns, just hundreds of years ago, singing songs about women running up our fields to meet shepherd laddies and whatever else. Kill badgers, who kens, brogs. But it is a pairt of the modern world, and Scotland's very much a pairt of the modern world, democratically, politically, and hopefully independently. So I'll read you two or three poems that I think bring that to mind. I'll start off with a couple of really short poems, which I'm sure Scottish or no, Scots or Gaelic or no, you'll still relate to, because it's very much a thing that we all do, and it's about going to the pub. And the first one's called Time Travel. Now, who did yon happen? I ask you. When I came in here, it was licht. Sure, the wind was snell, and my snottery neb was sair in need of a dicht. And it's only the 3 yills of neck it. Mind, a whisky or 6 seemed richt. So who did yon happen? I'm speering mysel that I'm leaving the pub, and it's nicht. In Scotland, we have about 420 words for snow, and I believe we have about 497 for being drunk. And so here's a wee short poem called Foo. Kind of relates to the last one. Puggled, smeek it, roaring foo, disjaskit, tapsaltiri, who the haily hell did come to this? Och, die, of course, I'm on the piss. Sign, nichts were no 6 Sarah fecht, 10 yowls, 10 mots, a spliff, then pecht. Third days, I'm no say sure just who, the lesser drink, the mair, I'm foo. The next poem is a wee ode to the modern day and where we are just now with the coronavirus. And I think it's one that most folk will relate to about how our days, our weeks, our very lives have changed that much over the past year. If anybody's tuning in, logging in, listening, watching, if you didn't ken what to thole something means, THOLE, it means you're putting up with something, you're bearing it, you're struggling. And we're all doing this, which is the title of the poem, which is Tholen Corona. The clays are done and out the bine and hanging on the washing line. The messages delivered, dichted, dishes steeped in rubbish lifted. I've been my daily 2-mile donner, duking out the way of joggers, hoovered, dusted every room, attended, umpteen meets on Zoom. Made sure the wains logged into skill, logged in myself to pay the bills, booked umpteen things off Amazon, switched off Sky News to no feel thrown. The cludgy's scrubbed, the dinner's prepped, the lobby's mopped, the pads are swept, the grass is cut, the floor's watered. It's just midday and now I'm hattered. I'll finish off with a couple of shorter ones. The first one is very much something that I believe in terms of, well, about the modern world and how Scots needs to speak to the issues of the day. And one of the big issues of the day, I think, well, it still is, and it has been for a long time, and will be for a long time as well, has been the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think we were all, hope we were all woken out of a slumber in which none of us were completely innocent when it came to this. And a lot of you have been open, and a hellish thing happened, and sometimes hellish things have to happen. And now, I hope we're all getting a lot wiser. So this is a poem called Minding George Floyd. If you're somehow doubting it, you're nocht, but I betting it. Think it was brocht on by his cell, you're no getting it. No like him anyways, getting it sore in the neck, not just for 3 minutes more than he took to stop screching, stop pecking, stop yerking, stop being here at all, and his colourless heart to stop working. For no being him, but for no more than being what he was, to an eye that saw nocht o' yont skin. For no being where he was, but what he was, 'cause yon's what the worst kind of blindness does. If you're somehow still doubting it, then I dinna ken ye. Think he brocht yon in his cell, then hell mend ye. Kid on, you're richt on and mint it, nae further. The deal's ease aye skelly when push comes to murder. And I'll finish up with a short poem about the language, the lead that so many of us speak. 1.5 million in the last census. We've got a census coming up next year, and I bet he's not a wheen more than 1.5 million. This poem is called Scots Mist, and I'm not talking about M-I-S-T as in the phrase, Scots Mist as in M-I-S-S-E-D. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll finish up with this wee poem of the language that I'm so proud of speaking, and that we should all be so proud of speaking in here. Scots Mist. Officially, we hae nae need to recognise thon other lead, that money speak, and yet miscaw for no being tongue or lead at all. It's just the usual you'd expect, ding doon for slang or dialect. Why fix it when it isna brook it. Linguistically, we're hardly rook it. We've Gaelic and we've Scottish English. Och else is made up or diminished. Sae dinna yerk and proselytise, your leads no even stonertised. Aye, carry on and racks your heed ower who the Scots is no a lead. Fae Annan to Dundee and Dingwall, you'd best no cry yoursel bilingual. All words are prach, but we ken fine where words bide now, no just lang syne. Aye biding in the breath o' patience, and biding aye in our renaissance. Thank you very much for listening.
That was just brilliant, Stuart. Thank you very much for that. And it's made me think of days when I used to be a wee bit more fou at the weekend than these days, but a thing I can't thole is the hangover the next day. So I could relate to quite a lot of that. And a thing it kind of reminds me as a Doric speaker, sometimes especially if you sort of bide in the northeast and that, you kind of forget that there's a whole community of Scots speakers out there, and there's so much that we share together. And when I'm listening to you, I believe an Ayrshire man originally, is that right? There's so many words in there that we use day to day up with us, and it'll be the same when I listen to the Shetlanders and us. So it's yeah, thanks very much for sharing. That was just brilliant. So speaking about Shetland, we're going to flee up there now and hear from Anne-Marie, who's going to do a wee poem, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm going to do a poem by Emily Milne. She's originally for the west side of Shetland. She's for a place called Greeting, which is where I was brought up when I was pretty. So it's called the Baba Bokies. De pretty trouws are out the night, seated amongst gleggy, skyting ower the trowie stain, she's no to miss the spree. Een sits upon a paddock still, and shoes himsel a goon. We wisp so lucky many zoo, new pood for a Lisbeth's tune. And here's a pretty trowie ting, we hesp a silver oo, waving the softest tissel shald to hap a sandy loo. There's twa to the shermal age, we lens to lift the keel, rinning down the cockle shell to undo for Mareel. Na, see the yon ill-tricket brats, a poor sea-flax necks, gaan spangen trouw de Evensteins, like pretty jumping jacks. In Yunbrew, fower, we speeders wubs, to drag the satty pulls, to catch the mun and the stars, and rig them up for yull. Nu thinks to know it do would lick, to gang awa wi them, to see the pretty trankies, where they lay them doon and drim. They would hush a ba-dee, and none de lally loo, and do would snuggle doon wi them, pretty crudlin do.
That was just brilliant, Anne-Marie. Yeah, I love hearing the Shetland lead. I used to share a room in Elgin actually with a laddie for Shetland back in the day, and that was the first time I'd ever heard folk speak in the Shetland. I'm yet to visit your Bonnie Isles, but it's high up in my list of places to go. But just for folk at but we've got Anne-Marie and Bruce here tonight, and they're the co-conveners for Shetland Forwards. And if you ever have the opportunity to join in their Zooms, I would highly recommend it. It's just beautiful to hear I'll be speaking up there and join in with some of the chat and on. Just like what I was saying to Stuart, just again, just reminds you of this community of Scots speakers that we've got in the
Anne-Marie, would you like to do another een? Would you do another een? Aye, I feel that was our short. I feel that was our short. Will you do another een? Okay, right. Sorry, Phil. I just.
No, I'm more than happy.
I just thought I mean another een.
Me.
I can do another one by Emily Mull if you want, since I had a book here. This one's called Kind of Mind. Kind of mind the mirds of Tyrricks, flighting up with sick a shirrick, about the homes of Sester, that bonny summer day. In the pretty Tyrricks skiogen, within toogs, and dankies ogen, and the pink scan snick between were tays. That day, new, kind of mind. Kind of mind the dunters hurrin, like the twining o' a purrin. To their dukes among the drewy lines, just ooey bars a doon. And below them what a gathering, green silk, rippling, war leaves waving, gathering, spreading, rising, fading, to the singing o' the sound. Muckle slippery, frilly tangles, ringed wi' peery, rudery spangles, fat yogs clasped o' their curly tays. Say lilac and say brown. The starfish, rosy fingers, to their blades say closely clinging. At their bosies, bony scadsmen's heads, white, purple, pink, and round. Oh, and can do mind the skeetics, the moots of fleeting skeetics, sping spangin' trow the trowy creeds, the silks glowering green. The sandy loos and shoulders, silver, grey and black and crimson, sick a rinnin, pleepin, pipelin, that day new can do mind. The slopes like swimming glasses, thousands shoaling by the nesses, say soft and wheat and slidery, trow their fingers trailing on. The homes lying there afore us, foaming pink wi' flowers to lure with, tang fanning round the rudery rocks, I'm surein do neatest mind. Mind do know them puffin neesicks, bullin, glistening, blue and sleekit, the mackerel, scruttin at a scruff, the ma's a galdrin doon, the muckle dozing selkie, lying stretched up at a skerry, his flipper, waving, wanton lick, that day, nu, dost do mind? And we're auld licking forering, we're friend, we're fun and fairin. She looked that sprush and sprightly, that day below the homs. As jink as ony lassie, wi' her pensie fresh and glossy, and watery wubs about her boo, mad middlin' i' the sun. Mine's curled at the stammering, the chattering, water lappering. Just trow the birds for Nancy lug, his feather sailed with him. And for a we were black fantin, never at him were we antin, that foo were we yonkins, that day new can do mind.
That was just excellent, Anne-Marie, and thanks for doing that at off the cuff as well. Lovely to listen to. So just going down our list, I'm going to move on to Emma.
Hi there.
Hello, Emma. Now I'm not sure exactly if you're going to do, so it's a bit of a mystery on my list. So if you could maybe just introduce yourself and
yeah, of course. So I'm a Scottish novelist, and yeah, write a lot of stuff set on the West Coast. My first book's called Be Good to Your Mammy. It's coming out in May with Unbound. I used to work in a Scottish care home, so I really have heard just about every dialect of Scots known to man, which was great, basically. So yeah, I'm going to read a wee extract from that, if that's okay. I'd been given a decent Christmas present for once. A little, can you hear me okay?
Yes. You're
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I'll start again. I'd been given a decent Christmas present for once, a little plastic crocodile, and had been on the hunt for a hame that wasn't made of card. I'd some imagination and hunted for just the right twigs, rocks and grass to turn it into a miniature Amazon. Snappy was my favourite toy. I was in a different world when I took him on Amazonian adventures, which in Thistlegate meant splashing him around the ash-filled pond at the cemetery, occasionally taking shelter in its willow tree, the perfect tent for when it rained. Dan knew Snappy would be a hit, but my joy was short-lived. I shared a bed with Kathy and Sandra. They were old enough to go to the dancing, and as they put on their faces smoking, I left the Amazon unattended on the bed and curled my hair with her tongs. Even though Kathy knew that tin meant the world to me, she lived like an animal and tossed a glowing butt into it as she left. It went up in flames and the blaze quickly spread to the bed. I watched the flames grow higher, rooted to the spot with panic before I got help. Ma rushed in with her biggest soup pot filled with water. She always said that she was as strong as a butcher's dog and proved it when she threw all that water onto the bed. Once the steam was rising into the air, she turned to me and frowned. I could kiss goodbye to going out with my pals for at least a week. It wasn't my fault, I said, holding out the remains of the Amazon and poor Snappy and pointing at a cigarette butt. Ma couldn't argue with the evidence. I'm no happy about this, Stella Marie, she said, shaking her head. Why did you no stop the fire from spreading? You'll have to go away at a birthday present next month to pay for a new set of sheets. But our neighbour had a spare set, and they were on her bed by the end of the day. I breathed a sigh of relief, assuming my Snappy replacement was well on the way. The Amazon kept me quiet. Ma must have appreciated that. When my 9th birthday came around, I was up at the crack of dawn, half-heartedly watching Tom and Jerry as I waited on Ma waking up. When she stepped into the living room, my face lit up, and I smiled from cheek to cheek. She didn't force a smile back, let alone give me a present. She just said happy birthday and lit a cigarette. My eyes were heavy with tears, and I darted upstairs to the bathroom, the only place I could cry without question. I'd almost run out of tears by the time there was a gentle knock on the door. I knew it was Dad before he opened it with a creak. He always had a wee lie-in on a Saturday before going to the bookies for a flutter and his local for a pint. I was sitting on the pan, face red and wet. He rushed in, scooped me up and gave me a big hug. "What's wrong, hen?" he asked. "Did your mammy no give you your present?" I looked down and shook my head. Dad sighed an angry sigh before taking one of my hands and smiling in a way that told me he was going to make it better. He walked me downstairs into the living room, parked me on the couch and told me to be back in a flash before going into the kitchen. "Jean, where's our Marie's present?" "I didn't buy her anything," Ma said. "She's the reason the bed in the lassie's room went on fire. I needed the money to pay for a new set of sheets." "For fuck's sake, you can't do that to Elaine. I'm going out and she's coming with me," Dad said, storming out of the kitchen and slamming the door shut. "Mon Marie," he said softly, "get your coat. We're going to the pictures." He didn't have to tell me twice. As we made our way through the steam into Central Station, Dad told me to take his horn. We walked like a giant into a newsagent where he bought me the biggest bag of licorice all sorts on sale. We were so poor back then, we didn't know how poor we were. A McVitie's digestive was a rare treat, let alone a bag of licorice all sorts to myself. I looked up at the brown and gold clock hanging from the platform ceiling as we joined the crowd spilling outside, casting my eyes past the higgledy-piggledy concrete buildings onto the grey sky. The sound of an accordion brought my eyes down to an old man. He took off his cap and smiled at me. Even though it was a dreary day, it didn't deter the people of Glasgow for queuing up outside the La Scala picture house. I remember thinking the tops of their umbrellas looked like lily pads in the cemetery pond. We went to the pictures and I pointed to the poster of the film I wanted to see, The Jungle Book. Glasgow's subway is a simple circle. Me and Dad jumped on the inner line from Buchanan Street to Kelvin Bridge. At the museum, I patted a bus he'd like a dog. "You're some girl," Dad laughed. "Now, Marie, can we keep this our little secret?" I nodded and never breathed a word. Thank you.
That was brilliant, Emma. Can you tell Abdi fan Be Good to Your Mammy is released and far they can get a copy?
Yeah, so it's going to be released on the 6th of May. There might be a slight delay there. I'm not 100% sure because of COVID, but I can pop a little link in the description box if anyone's interested, and I'll pop one to my Twitter where I post my other work as well.
All right, feel free.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emma. That was beautifully read as well, I have to say. Just as a general thing for Abdi that's watching, If there's anything that you want to ken any more about, like Emma's book or any of the poetry or songs you hear tonight, if you just drop us an email to our Vyce, and we can get back to you with more information and any of the poetry performers and that. Okay, so I'm going to pass over to my co-host, Holly, again, to introduce the next act, a couple of Northeast Quines together.
So the next act is a songster, and she's cried Ellie Beaton, and she's faithful rule in Rothy Norman. And I don't know what she's going to give you, but it'll be full of surprise anyway. So I'll pass you over to Ellie Beaton.
Hello, I'm going to sing you as a wee bothy ballad that I got fae Joe Aitken, bothy ballad singer. And it's called Y Buchan Plúmin, and it's set in Balcaden, which is nae far fae Meldrum, I suppose. So I'm going to sing to you as Y Buchan Plúmin. Come, ye jolly plewmen, lads that work among the grun. Come and listen to my story if ye want to hae some fun. I'm nae as young as I used to be, some say I've had my fling. But I feel just like a 10-year-old when I began to sing. Oh, lulta-fa-looda-lie-do, toodalooda-lee. I'll tie your horse, I'll sort your nout, I'll beg a ruck astray. I'm as happy as a lark fae dawn to dark, singing a' the day. Oh, lulta-fa-looda-lie-do, toodalooda-lee. At Ellen Fian Market, now listen what I say. A money spirit if I could work a pairt 10 hour day. If I could fall muck wi a man, he'd fairly got me gape. Says I, I'll man, for I come fae. We fall muck wi a grape. Oh, lulta-fa-looda-lie-do, toodalooda-lee. I'll tie your horse, I'll sort your nout, I'll beg a ruck astray. I'm as happy as a lark fae dawn to dark, singing a' the day. Oh, lulta-fa-looda-lie-do, toodalooda-lee. I bothied when I get hame, the bothy lads, they teed me for a bairn. Wi' horny hands they eat wild spuds, the bothy fleet was hoppet. We sharny beats, I trumpet the spuds, and said I like mine choppet. Oh, lulta-fa-looda-lie-do. I'll tie your horse, I'll sort your nout, I'll beg a ruck astray. I'm as happy as a lark fae dawn to dark, singing a' the day. Oh, lulta-fa-looda-lie-do, toodalooda-lee. The night that married Mary Ann, I got me stuff a foo. When the minister started to tie the knot, there was a hullabaloo. He says, my Manfred is your name, and have ye got the ring? Loch, you should have seen thon manny's face when I began to sing. Oh, lulta-fa-looda-lie-do, toodalooda-lee. I'll tie your horse, I'll sort your nout, I'll beg a ruck astray. I'm as happy as a lark fae dawn to dark, singing a' the day. Oh, lulta-fa-looda-lie-do, toodalooda-lee.
A huge congratulations for Ellie hitting up with Coronation Street and her own phone. I did see that was your own phone. Thank you so much. So we will be going round again, probably. We'll hear probably 2 or 3 times. So dinna worry, there's enough room for Abdi, and just a wee hint, keep your cell on mute. But I'll be here with fingers really quick, and if I see anybody off mute, I'm gonna scalp you all. So yeah, I'll pass you back to Phil.
Thanks very much, Ellie. And I never ken to the Buchan Plumans like to watch Coronation Street, but there you go. And you kind of reminded me of that my grandfather was a champion Pluman unlike myself, I couldn't get away from the farm quick enough. So just before we go on to the next person, I just wanted to say a wee bit about Vyce and fit what about. So Vyce is a sort of civic organisation. We're a group of Scots language enthusiasts, and I have to say, out of everything that I've been involved with recently, I just love it, and there's so much passion and enthusiasm, and I mean myself personally, I've always been so proud of my Doric and my Scots and stuff, and to get together with other folk has just been brilliant. But the whole reason of our being is we're campaigning for a Scots Language Act, and I think Abdi here in Echt will agree, no matter fit Scotland, the importance of that to give Scots the recognition that it really deserves in our everyday sort of lives, for education, to sort of broadcasting and things like that. And I do sense myself a real sort of step change in the past year around Scots. So yeah, that's kind of fit what we're about and your advice. Please, for the viewers out there, do join us if you haven't already. You can be as involved as muckle and as little as you want, really. But the more folk we have on board, the better. And I'll tell you a wee bit in a while about the campaigns that we've got coming up this year and all. So I'll wish and pass over to Elaine, our next act, and Elaine's going to do some poetry for us.
Hello, thank you kindly. Hi, I guess like Stuart, I belong to the southwest. I'm for the Rins of Galloway originally, and this last couple of years I have been living in Paisley, and he done a fair bit of wandering our time. And it's been something, no matter what part of the world I have been working in or where I have been talking to folks, there's that interest in Scots and using Scots words and the fun of comparing and sharing language with other folk. So I thought I would maybe go back and start off with a poem for when I was wee. And I suppose belonging to the class of the working pair. And this wee poem's called 7 Days of Childhood. The Sabbath, after the kirk, gone single file together brambles down the Rechtaway. Monday, making bramble jelly in the brass jelly pan, slung to dreep ower a white enamel bucket held up by a brush handle atween twa chairs till the jelly dreep down. Tuesday, Mairch in a hinter da on the shore at low tide, carrying spears to tramp flounders out at the Owl Wreck. Wednesday, on the shore, spearing out gull nests abin the tide lines. Dinna hurry the nest, yen egg only. If enough, Granny will mak us a double egg sponge. Thursday, plucking birds shot ower the shore. First hang 'em on a cleek in the coal bunker, then roast them in the oven. Feathers and guts wrapped tight in oil papers, flung on the back of the fire. Friday, sea trout, poached down the water. Aye, it was tidal. Een peeled to spy the keeper afore he spied us. Saturday, back to my student digs in Embro Town, bag loaded with jukes, gingerbread, and a poker tablet to share. Thanks. And then to follow that, I thought I would maybe give a wee story that takes me back to an incident for 1974, and very much as a youngster, away from home, very much becoming aware of apartheid, and this is called apartheid. When I mind back to last century, not just to when I was wee, but neither yet had I got a degree, apartheid was aye on the news. That kind of stuff, there's no excuse. We were just young students, no right share of where we were or gone where, but old enough to start to spear black and whites. How come this fear? Apartheid. What could we do or say to show it had to go away? Doon hammers we were, in Embro toon, our world was growing big and roon. When at the shops we checked the labels to boycott South Africa's oranges and apples. Mairches, demonstrations, amnesty letters, trying to tell our elders and betters, apartheid, this has to stop. Yen end o' term, with rucksacks packet, travelling by thumb, up through Glencoe, ferry to Skye, heeds fu' of massacres, songs of princes, naebody tell us o' fulsome midges. Our goal was Schliachem to pitch our tent. Our thumbs stuck out proud, our smiles were bricht. Would they stop? No. Aye, our luck held ticht. The clouds were dark, smur, no far awa'. We got into their van, hellos began, where heads strapped down, keeking out at the storm clouds gathering, as yen we decided to stop the blethering and asked these folk fae South Africa to stop their van. We changed our plan, we couldna gone with them. Back in the cowl, the smur wrapped roon, nae mair lifts, nae big moon. Young as we were, we'd made our choice, angst fermenting, values cementing. This was a line we couldna cross. For us, baith fae wee places naebody has heard of, we had to demonstrate our hearts were sair, stuck out there in the middle of nowhere, to show that apartheid we couldna share. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Elaine. That was beautifully read. And the last year was the first time I'd ever been down to your part of the world at the Rins of Galloway, even at my sort of middle-aged years and that. But that was been a good thing of the lockdown from we kind of go abroad, and that has made us explore Scotland an awful lot more. And definitely a highlight was going to the Mulla Galloway Lighthouse and looking over to the Isle of Man and Ireland and that. Yeah, it was beautiful. So thanks, and thank you for reminding me of that lovely holiday. So I'm going to pass over to my lovely co-host again. If I was going to introduce the next act, we've got a wee bit more singing to go.
And I think the next act is the wonderful Carole Pryor. Now, I see you're without Alan the night. Is he watching the rugby?
He is.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you know
No,
what?
really,
I didn't need to introduce you. Gi's a sang.
Okay, thanks. Well, in 1755, Dr. Samuel Johnson wrote published his Dictionary of the English Language, which was a blatant attempt to anglicise all the languages of the British Isles. And he was very patronising towards Scotland because he described the word oats as a grain which in England is fed to horses, but in Scotland supports the people. So it wasn't very nice. So it's taken me 300 years, not that I was around at the time. So this is my wee response to Dr. Johnson. So it's a celebration of Scots cuisine, past and present, with special reference to our superfood, which is, of course, oats. What springs to mind of Scotland's faring? Is it lads that's raised up on tatties and herring, or coulter's candy that's fed to bairns? Or is it just a nation that was built on oats? We've always had the finest produce, big braw berries, brimful o' juice, louping salmon and heeling coos. Roam the nation that was built on oats. Lang, lang ago, our bonny fectors, Bruce and Wallace, the land's protectors, faced Albion. 'Twa muckle spectres, Wheelford laddies that were built on oats. And over time, our country's dalliance with the alley blues in the old alliance. Dishes new come into parlance in the nation that was built on oats. Dollops of collops, a big howtowdy served up in ashets, and feather fowly, eel floatant, and a dodo crowdy, graced the nation that was built on oats. Mere recent times, a mixter maxter, braw cooking wifeys like Ina Baxter, tried to preserve a good Scots larder. Mony recipes included oats, but yin or yang prevails today. Food heaven or hell, as some might say, mostly depends what you can pay. In the nation that was built on oats, nouvelle cuisine for folk that's poorer, deep-fried Mars bars in a butter tempura, pies on rolls are quickly hoovered, not to mention the pizza crunch. When you're out dining with your bodies, dinna be seek, doing your best daddies, perchance your stew has been made frae cardies. Just be honest, call it steak cheval. Nu cope your chefing cognoscente, serve single leaves on dishes dainty. Michelin stars abound in plenty in the nation that was built on oats. And mind ye dinna brack your molars on crustacean critters and bottom crawlers like razored clams frae electrified trawlers what dare go diving in the Firth o' Forth. Even the haggis, our culinary symbol, comes in pecoras as a timble with matching wines served out in thimbles. Welcome to Embro, you'll have had your tea. At every menu you tack a gander. The soup's aye carrot and coriander, or blitzed to hell in a smoothie blender. Nae lumpy broth new in the land of oats. Across the years, as one peruses, here's to our grains of many uses. John Barleycorn inspires our muses in the nation that was built on oats. So bless our bros and bless our bannocks, oats that's rolled around our cabbocks. It's even nice fried up with haddocks. May our pulses never fail. And in the end, now here's the question, answers on a postcard. Welcome suggestion. Have I left a smile or just indigestion in the nation that was built on oats? So raise your glasses, Here's the toast to this fair land we love the most, from Maiden Kirk to John O'Groats. A health to the nation that was built on oats.
I love that. I love that, Carole. Thank you very much. I was tapping away there as you were singing, and there's a northeast loon. We've oatmeal with nothing up the road. In fact, I was been a disappointment to me when I moved to Edinburgh that beef olives down here have sausage meat in them when it should be oatmeal. But there you go. Fairman loon, Fairman loon to the core. Okay, for some singing for Edinburgh, we're going to jump up the road to Bonnie Elgin, and Louis is going to give us a wee performance.
All right, troops. This is a poem that I wrote dedicated to one of my favourite pastimes. It's called To the Sesh. It's Friday afternoon, near Friday night. You've worked your way through the week and you're looking a guy's sicht. But dinna you garn, dinna you fash. It's near time to break open your stash. You canna take your een off a clock. Each minute say slow, it makes you sock. You're off a drouthy guy sare for a dram. Despite the heedings of your hen-pecking mam, she's a richt fine wifey, there's nae denying, but you canna be deeing without her sighing. Now's nae the time to be thinking on mither. It's time to be looking for a significant other, a fine wee quiney or loony or those who are they, for you to dance your night away with. Get yourself home via your local shoppy to pick up your bottle o' the blessed bucky. You've nae muckle money, your bank balance isna sunny, but you've worked your wee fingers to the bone and you've saved all your pennies for spending on thone. Leap in the shower to feel less clarty, get pure gleaming for the party. You're out the shower and you're making yourself bonny, hair and clays if you're a manny, hair and clays and makeup if you're a wifey. Or maybe none, or maybe three. I'm nae aim to judge, just let folk do what they want to do. Pack your poly bag with your ingredients for the night, a bag full of hopes that tonight isna shite. Get to the house and the place is pumping. Braw tunes, the bassline is recht thumping. You're with your pals and the booze is flowing. Giving it your internal organs a recht good scalping. But nobody's caring, you're all in this together and the necht's there for the taking. Giving it laldies the order of the day, even if that's what you always say. Hey, in a rare all time barrelin' folk about, if there's nae the morn with you, that would suit. Cause it's all about right now and you winna stop until you're fou. But then the dawn breaks. For your pit, you wakes, your heed is mince, craving iron brew to save you for this. This feeling isna ane you ever miss. But who really gives a fuck? In this life, you make your ain luck. What's for you wanna go buy you and all that. Hangovers go away, on that you can bat. The sesh can unite friend and foe. It makes the world seem mere slow. For that, it should be celebrated. And that's what I intend to do for many a long year. Thank you very much.
We're all in a wee Loch here, and I made me think I'm only a night out in Joanna's, although it'll be shut by now.
Grab a granny night.
Oh, brilliant. So we're going to pass over to Marcas now. Marcas, I've got down here singing or poem, so a bit of intrigue there, or maybe both.
I think I'll do a bit of both. Just a word or two in Gaelic. More than tangs on Viaru Hudrome Viasas as a Hudamaha agus she Udamahan agus Hamile Holich Taik Homodiv Ek Vyce agus Lisha Virbalgalta Sedadidiv. So yep, I'm here to show some support from the Gaelic speaking community, and I've got a couple of poems for you and then I'll do a wee song. The first is from this now infamous pamphlet that I co-wrote with Mr. Paterson down there, and it's called agus, and it's about the need for debate and dialogue within language movements, but also a unified approach. Chanyntig sin strú na tonica chagremig sin fichadach na gúig. Fagi fioin cordian súlahag na teach gal spatjal mar ada ata in iráide agus colach che van a beantan. Marcas teach Messiah a chanain, ach anagi sin cloniad gerim luaile agus strach nan skúrsak van carn at a hactas at na shachid. Hier locked fomdaken van J. Huel. Agus yn ieinile agus sgriag iachri le edabel nymfachol. A iedig ag fôr yn lefaraf mat isa do laf lac lafarish. Ach, siwli sy'n sa charabat breid istia ac ein leis na coilich yn siach dy sian fa stiwrag yn ima fian is sy'n ule di geran a caniag ar cwj clonia agus yn cwj question. We cannot agree on the flow of the wind, we cannot grasp the teasing wind, some leave marks, expecting an illustrious future, like a long-time vigil on the horizon and a mirage over the mountains, like hope, the advent of the tongue's Messiah. Against them is heard the call of another throng and the crack of the whip. Under cairn, while they advocate the past, they bury vowels under the glacier. And the other lot who'd rewrite history with suffixes that would raise sounds moribund like Jesus to the weak hand of Lazarus. But we all travel in our patchwork carriage with its whirling sunken wheels propelled by scattered intention and all the contention, chastising our children and their questions. So the next one I've got for you was commissioned by my pal Shug Macmillan for his project Dead Good Scots, and it celebrates a behemoth within the Gaelic literature tradition, Māori Níon Alistair Duai. Bíl fór for lach liach le clearvein could he smudge diaclan and stoch and talav. A year is two for him fast feared, for him brish gach clach is touch na hicklish or large marchadas loam. Kalish donaja, sin van dreig dúr mar a year uhain, dirimse dachlan a gardach gach fjornen, a kus krie for rúsk na crunja, itter rodal is dún vekain. The Quick of Teeth in memory of Mary MacLeod. Face down below a gneiss snab in St. Clement's, the quick of your teeth enriches the soil, encasing you where the pasture, the stone, the church tower erupt as from an empty gum, a chalice for the sky. There you remain, lain as per your request, your wit and words nourish every blade of grass, quiver under the earth's crust from Rodal to Dunvegan. Tapalev. So I'll just finish with another song, another reference to another Gaelic literary great, Maddie Vaughan and Oren, and we're celebrating her bicentenary this year. And like her, I'm also sick of the dominance of the English language in this country. Hami skijil loch na björla, hami skiu cat deditiv, salam hinga fatten keli, hami skijil loch na björla. Honig misha hanam broter seitjeren na chin mungorska, Captain Turner staff ne huasal, scuff me overs rain me 80. Chudet mi a lachgan fueres, chudet bors from Jan Machwosek, Spe ma cockish hug on Urshain, who me sues me train me major. Had do ich jede truenig lesche grach kachin mo horn, Chanya created bochka luishes, na cheche chuerug srepeg. Chabe shut the vami fechgin ik na dunje korech lach me, ach fi blan en kajrev sevi kom al taik de jele. Had ne shedem voordach ik na naivjen han en konten, Chanya game ik marsted boele, schanya boergeljen en jail. Gambiet shut na dyn y codia, sawn na mesge yef chachoshish, fan yn bavish diving conny, sawn had orgenic na feo. Tapel.
Lauren, I was a wee bit surprised in the Ken were getting Gaelic tonight, so it was good to hear. And my Gaelic teacher, Morig's listening tonight. She's for Huntley randomly. That basty in a Gaelic, not really, but
Well, I'm a graduate of the University of Aberdeen, so don't let anyone tell you that there's no Gaelic in the northeast.
well, it just shows you. So that was just bonny to hear, but there'll be a wee while before I can keep up with everything you say tonight. Although Hammy Ski understood that, but I'm not quite there myself. Okay, so next up, we're going to pass you to Susie. And I
Hey there.
Hello.
Hi. I'm just going to do a wee poem, if that's all right.
Aye, go for it. Aye.
I thought I'd do Diva. Just hang on a wee second. There we go. Diva. She screamed at me. It's then dragged my heaving heart away for the wreckage. Her gentle thoughts on every chain, every bruise, every wound. She gifted me an axe. She showed me where the curves were. She showed me how to tenderly pluck out broken shards in my identity. With her hand at my back, she whispers, keep walking. And I walk away for storms that other folk summon. And if I fail to listen and get drawn into black waters, she yells and she points to where the safe harbours are. On dry land, her wit tickles me. And I laugh out loud and often know at the rick times is deemed by the gurning faces of folk with notions that women should ken by now where the lines are drawn. And together we stamp out the lines and still laughing, we smash the patriarchy yin wee bit at a time. She sprinkles glitter trails ahin me as I dance for it into the bricked adventure that is new my life. Moulded into form, she gathers in all the love offered, and creating a magnificent crown, she places it on my head, and looking right into my een, she whispers, Diva.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're just moving down the list. So we're moving back up the country again to my homeland, me and Iona's homeland, and we're going to Linda. Linda, I think you're going to do some Doric poetry.
Can you hear me?
Aye, can hear you fine, aye.
Okay, so I've got about 5 minutes to perform, have I?
Oh, as long as you like, Linda.
Okay, well, I started writing Doric poetry last year when I was off on furlough, and I've written a few poems this time. I hope to publish a book one day, but not just yet. I'll start off with this one called Surviving the Virus. It's about coronavirus. 2020 is the year of corona. Abdi asks, will this last much longer? Visors, masks and sanitizer at the ready. We're musking about life more steady. This is the first time in our lives we've seen a global pandemic. It's hard to believe it's incredibly systemic. The government said you must stay at home, plenty time to spend on the phone, as long as we stick to a 5-mile zone. Get your shopping once a week, otherwise you might get sick. We've been taught to social distance, we're learning to do it with brilliance. At this rate, we'll still be distant at Christmas. Do some exercise once a day. Oh, how I wish this virus would go away. We've been told to stay in self-isolation. After this ends, we'll have a big celebration. If you're travelling, you've got to bide in quarantine. I don't even ken what that word means. Sounds more like a powder you put in your washing machine. At last we're allowed to get our hair done. I think I'd look good with a coloured Mohican. If you cough or sneeze, you better get tested, because if you deny, you might get arrested. I've got a few more. This is based on a Highland coup. It's called the Hairy Highlander. A day I saw a hairy Highlander with muckle great horns and shaggy hair. It's the hairiest thing I've seen this year. Fit a funny looking sicht. I wondered if I was seeing recht. She spends her time chewing cud, even though it's mixed with mud. She eyed up a handsome looking bull. He said, "You're a bonny coo." They went on a date aside the park gate. News is in the family why. There's going to be a new hairy Highlander born next May. Next thing is called my sicky lamb. I had a bonny sicky lamb, its fleece was white as snow. It followed me around the farm forever I would gang. When it was hungry, it would bawl its way here to out until I gave it a bottle of milk and then it quaiting down. Every time I looked around, the lamb as I was there. A twee nut and the soon it made, the lamb got on my nerves, so I set it up the mark. This next one, I wrote it for Burns Day. It's called Tia Huggis. Oh, Huggis, I must confess, I like you best with mince and tatties. I think you taste recht fine. I sometimes ate you rolled into bars, breadcrumbed and then deep fried, but you're sometimes on the spicy side. I like you as much as I could eat you for breakfast, dinner and tea. Oh, fit a delicious sicht. I canna wait to get you on my plate. It canna come a minute too soon. I'll gobble you down till I'm stopped full. You can keep your fancy foie gras, caviar and a la carte. Haggis is the best by far. Right, this next thing is called Hair's Time. It's hair's time, mark hay while the sun shines, so they say. Lots of bales to mark the day. Barley and wheat mark lots to eat. Farmers and combines work late into the night. They start again at first licht. Combines, tractors and balers galore, binders and stem mills used in days of yore. Unfortunately, those days are no more. Along came the Industrial Revolution that changed the wise of evolution. For that is the modern way of life. That's the crops in the shed, knew it's time to heat for bed. And the next thing is called the Mart. The Mart's the place for farmers sell their cows and sheep. For farmers, it's their social hub and also a place to get some grub. On Mart Day, it's a place to be. It's the centre of the universe for me. It's the place to catch up with what's happening on the farming scene, a good chance for a nutter and to hear the sales patter. Once you buy your cows and sheep, you ging to the office to pay your dues. The livestock get loaded onto a float, then ging to live at their new abode. Got a few more, but you can always go around everybody else and come back to me if there's still time and I can read more.
I no bother at all, Linda. That was good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing that. And
thank you for letting me
again,
take part.
I'm makes me think about days gone by and trips to the Mairch with my father, who tried to introduce me to Fairman, but it just didn't work. The thing I've noticed is this bloody lockdown and no hairdressers. My hair's becoming sound like out of the 80s. So I apologise for the sick look tonight. Just the thing I want to mention before we go on. So Jack Carpenter is our political officer in our Vyce, and one of the things he's been pulling together is our next campaign. And the next campaign that we're doing is a Scots pledge for we're going to our candidates that are standing for the Scottish Parliament and ask them to sign up to the Scots pledge and sign up to promote Scots. And I guess eventually we're for getting a Scots language act through the Parliament, and that's a whole cross party thing. One of the things you might have picked up in Twitter of late, sometimes we get a lot of stuff thrown at us that we're just sort of a nationalist outfit, but really the Scots lead goes right across the political spectrum, and it shouldn't matter if you're SNP or Tory. Really, it's a part of our everyday culture. So what we're asking is, are the candidates to sign up to that? So there's an opportunity for Abdi. So it's not just us, it's in our Vyce itself, but anybody can talk pairt and get involved in social media, emailing your local candidates and stuff like that. So again, if you'd like to get involved, email us at our Vyce through our social media, or our email addresses that are on our website, and we can give you more information through to talk pairt. Any help would be much appreciated. So we're going to jump over to Andrew, so for a wee bit more poetry after Linda. So I'll pass over to you, Andrew. Or Rhymer is your card tonight. Oh, I can't hear you. No, can't hear you. As my dad would have said, I can't hear you.
His mute is off.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, can we hear you? No.
Oh, no.
Going into your sound
hearing you
settings. No. No. Will we going on to somebody else and then we'll figure it out. Aye, we'll go on.
Andrew, sometimes if you just go off and rejoin, sometimes that sorts out audio issues. I can't promise it'll work, but sometimes it does. So we'll jump over to Bruce. So we're going back up to Bonnie Shetland Isles. Didn't expect that, did you, Bruce? We like to keep Abdi in their tays.
Yeah, Andrew did you on purpose, I do. So thanks for having me. It's been some great poems tonight. Linda, Daniel, if you've only been writing since you went on furlough last year, you're doing right well. Hard gone, as I believe they say in the Northeast.
Thank you.
Oh, well done. I'm going to read a poem for a book that I got given as a present that's actually very good. It's called Poems on the Edge of Extinction, and it's poetry written in endangered languages. And there's one by Jackie Kay in Scots, and there's a Galician, and there's also a Shetlandic one. It's by a man called John Paterson. John, or Jack as he was kent here, he was wounded in World War I, and when he came back for the war, then he started writing poetry and also became a bit of a photographer. And he was very interested in Shetland life and what the people around him did. So this is set on a boat. It's called Sen Netters. So, and there's a pretty bit of performance to it because you hear the men speaking on the radio to another for the boat. So there's a pretty bit of performance that made me think it might be a fine choice for tonight. So this is John Paterson's Sen Netters. Black around and the steep seas marking, gunwale to gunwale, till the decks run white. Masthead light in a swirling moorie, looping about like a thing gien geit. Hello, hello, daybreak calling venture, 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 daybreak calling venture. Fag-end glint at a wheelhouse window, tide lumps bracken like ghosts on the beam. Loss our sight of the land for an hour now. This is the rod the Norsemen cam hame. Swain and Hal and bare-legged Magni, Brucey the Black and Call Brocken Baines. Day and night we there into the wastard, stramping the seas like the rain briggy stains. Hello, 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 twa drags, 40 boxes, twa drags, 40, twa drags, 40 boxes. Andrew, John and Grae Sans Robbie, Willie B. Nord and Hugh Freda had. Day after day, I' the heart hall of winter, shutting, dragging and gutting like mad. Out and awa afore you and me's walking, never dawn till lang after dark, travelling their way be ba and be vader, fishermen, making for hame frae their wark. Venture, calling daybreak, 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 what's the price of haddocks in Aberdeen today? The price, and the not baz bracken. What's the price? Bracks a winter's gale. Senses tuned to a world obstropolis, ready to act, should anything fail. What's the price? And the squall comes dirling, black a round, no even a gleam. Compass, wheel, and a E to the windward, had in the rod, the Norsemen cam hame.
Brilliant, Bruce. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks very much, Phil.
No, thank you.
Well done, Bruce.
Yeah. One of the things that I love to hear is like the fact that like the other cultures that have encompassed Scotland, so the effect of like Norse and stuff on Scots, and hearing some of the Norse words that have sort of weaved their way into your version of our lead. So it's just lovely to hear. Andrew, we'll give it another try to see if that worked. Oh no. I'm not sure why it's no.
If you gang out of the meeting all together and then come back in, it might help. If in doubt, turn it on and turn it off. Turn it off and turn it on.
Don't worry. We'll keep trying. I'm getting myself. Okay, so I'm going to pass you over to. So we'll come back to you, Andrew. Don't worry. We'll keep trying. I'm going to pass you over to Iona to introduce our next performer.
Well, I actually didn't ken what she's going to do because she does ahin. Margaret Bennett was my Dr. Margaret Bennett, 100 times over. She was my lecturer at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, and she taught me. You know what? I think she just taught me everything. Really, it wasn't really like a class. It was a class, but you know, A day would be supping bros. She tried to teach us what it was like in the bothy sheds, and A day would be doing sea shanties. So it was a kind of overall broad experience. But I'm just going to pass you out to Margaret Bennett, and she'll tell you what she's going to do.
Thank you very much, Iona. I'm presuming you can hear, can you? Yes. Well, you see, Iona, the thing is, the older you get, the more you sort of store until the hard drive gets full. And being in, as Hamish Henderson once said, I'm past my sell-by date now. So, but the thing I didn't tell you, I don't think, is that I spent my last year of school in Shetland. And I remember, maybe Bruce will appreciate this, my English teacher at school was John Graham. And his mother stayed across the road from us. And she knew every move on the street. You couldn't walk home with anybody, but she knew. And she'd smile at the gate. And one day she said to me, "Ah, a lang arm and a gancy sleeve, I makes a bonny belt." And then she wanted to know what his name was. So I learned a few Gurricks while I was there, but they're in my consciousness, but maybe not in my everyday speech. So it's really lovely to hear this from all over the country. And yes, Stuart, I even lived down, I think I must have been a bit of a nomad, but I'm going to say, I don't really know exactly where this song originated, but in a way it belongs to the pandemic. It's the one song that women can sing now because they start off by saying, well, you know what, this pandemic has done something that no woman ever succeeded in doing. It succeeded in keeping the men out the pubs. So anyway, you might not ask me back, Iona, but here we are. Johnny, my man, will you not think of rising? Well, the days we'll spend and the nights coming on, your cellars all gone and your stooks to my forty. Oh, rise up, my Johnny, and come awa him. Oh, was that I hear was speaking so kindly? Oh, I ken it's the voice of my ain wifey Jean. Come out here, my dearie, come sit down beside me. Oh, there's room in this tavern for me, for by me. Johnny, my man, your bairns are all greeting. Nae me lend a barrel to fill their wee wines. While you sit here drinking, you leave me lamenting. Oh, rise up, my Johnny, and come awa him. Oh, do ye remember the days we were courting? On a bed of primroses we bathed did sit down, sitting together in each other's company. Oh, you ne'er thought it long then, nor speered to gang hame. Oh, will I remember the days that ye mention? Oh, but these days are past and can ne'er come again. Just think on the present, or try to amend it. Oh, rise up, my Johnny, and come awa him. Johnny raise up and he's flung the door open. Oh, cursed be the tavern that first let me in. Oh, cursed be the whiskey, for it leaves me aye thirsty. So fare ye well, whiskey, for I'm awa him.
That was just braw, Margaret. Thank you. I could listen to that all night.
Oh, not at all. You probably say it must be time for a drink now, everybody.
Oh no, no. No, I'm trying to get easy in the drink tonight. Iona will be giving me a row for whittering on. Brilliant. Well, we'll give you one more try, Andrew. See who it's going. Oh, the joys of technology. Oh, I can't fit. No. We can see who our lip reading is going. I'm not sure if it's City. I'll maybe if anybody's any ideas out there, drop a comment in their Facebook and we can pass it over to Andrew to see if we can fix it. It's a bit annoying for you, but we'll try again later. Okay, so we're moving back north again to Orkney this time, so not too far for Anne-Marie and Bruce. And Simon's going to give us some Orcadian poetry.
Thanks very much, Phil. Yeah, it's bad luck for me tonight to have to follow Margaret Bennett, by the way. What a beautiful song that was. I really enjoyed that. I'm going to read a pretty poem here that's written in Orcadian, and it's an odd kind of concept because I imagined what Orcadian might say to the Gaelic language if it was going to speak to Gaelic. So that's what the poem's about. It's called Poor Pity Gaelic. And there's one thing you need to ken before I read this poem is what a grotty bucky is. The Shetland folk maybe ken what a grotty bucky is, but it's a cowrie shell. And folk in Orkney have a hobby of searching for these on the beaches. So yeah, it's about Gaelic and it's about grotty buckies. It's called Poor Pity Gaelic. Poor Pity Gaelic, pity totty grotty bucky, Atlantic of pressure bearing down on thee. Who can thou stand it, pity thing? For only pity. Poor Pity Gaelic, empty shell cast up on a skerry, outcast on the maritime periphery. Pity breast wi' living, roseate hue, but when I turn the hour, I see a pity skull grinning back at me. Still, thou are blessed compared with me. There's Alpa on the BBC, a language act for all to see. And thou are distinct, but haters willna let us be till we're extinct.
Brilliant.
I've got another one. I've got another one here, which is about being in Barcelona. And I have a cousin who, whenever he visits Spain, he always lights a candle in a kirk. And that got me thinking about being at the Basilica de la Sagrada Familia. So here's a pretty sonnet about being at the Basilica de la Sagrada Familia. Me he'd swimming a bit after twa tins at midday. I paid the €5 sum, tackled the steps to the triforium, struggling with the local vulgar Latin. Less like a northern kirk this couldna be, a daft dream of spires raxing to the sky, yellow sculpted seeds, cool angels forby. To earth Christ maybe cam, but no for me. But down in Gaudi's crypt, a silence fell. I shuffled for the bottom of the stair, me belly full of gassy San Miguel, and lit a pity candle. Holy hell, what way can Catholic kirks ca a runt prayer for godless Presbyterians like myself?
Excellent, Simon.
And a third pretty one here as well. This is an adaptation for a wee poem by Goethe, and the Orkney version is called Wanderer's Evensong. And it's got a pretty subtitle. It says that it's a fragment carved in the door jamb of a peat cutter's hut in the Orkney West Mainland circa 1844. At the top of the hill, all the peaty heather flowers hing still. And at the shore, the waves lay down on the sand like the breath of a sleeping bairn. the biddy tews curry doon on their nests, just had on, and thul can to rest.
Yeah. I think actually ken what a grotty bucky was, but only because I've got good friends that bide up in Johnny Groats, but wouldn't really ken them down in Aberdeenshire. So aye, that's, and then you reminded us holidays that we kind of hae just now with your Barcelona. So that's excellent. Thank you very much. So we'll get pass over to Chris, and then we'll try Andrew again after that.
Okay, thank you. This is Trows at Brocket Borders. Skies summon about the water. Ram scarves are not at tiders. The shore is like showed lader, tying the isles together. There is corn so mulled puder, brocks wrecket by rock laders, lassos spun by the speeders, coins roll through the header. For a dowry, tae a doughter, sign peppers fae a ogre, across swattles o water, we trows at Brocket Borders. And Moloshin, the earth is a midden like cinder puddings, the land is bedridden, we attings no bidding. Fact rubs with fiction, wider scripts friction, the moon is a shilling, I the bank glinking. O mins at the fishin, a wheat moloshin, the clatch o' a ocean, tae spoons o' sea dragons. Germs that were hidden, raised like sma buttons, that gluffed and had smitten, the doitin mutton. Bacon turned to shoon, oo weaved ower the toon, I the sorrow's kitchen, swittling poison. I the press is forbidden, reeking and rotten, rat roasted and riven, cream dreeping like cotton. Werewolves and villains, witches o' women, we clad fingers milling the sun into lemons. The moon, Tudery, the moon is a human torch. Dogs lead sheep in a Mairch. Our a Tudery patch, hell is sparked by a match. Time is measured in hours, splintered for the vor. Candles lock at sunsets, ruins o' news in nets. O the daily catch, tallied wi' a claw scratch. Sna's jack stour o' Yule is puder that crusts to prule. A Viking's dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Our tae Shetland's moat in a Viking's dream. Stones skim past childhood, trout a star sequence. Clearances did intrude, sheep were a sad audience. Miles o' green thickets, sown for Norse gods' tools. Aquarius's bucket, Excalibur in rock pools. Villages like horseshoes, hills with crowns o' thorns. Amulets in plues. Birds respond to horns. At the Last Supper, winds huff and puff. We the laird's scuppers, the fox sailed for cuffs. A ship like a fader, our a rinsed ram. Fowk on a short tider, lawned for a ram. And rop and bow ties, standing stones and circles are anti-clockwise. Auld folk are oracles, they chased fish as dice. Sailing seas o' obstacles with rop and bow ties, the laird was on a pedestal, a reaper wi' his scythe. Toil, tears and troubles, folk snatched for their land. They burst the village's bubble, drapped by a devil's hand. The wider is a steam train, carried ice and rose. Jack Frost was at the rain, wi' horse and carts o' snow. And sea shanty socked laments. The butcher and the baker were a' emigrants, joined by a candlestick maker to follow the merchants. Winds were as sharp as razors that made sailing a stunt. to start a brand new chapter, a chain o' events. The sea was polished silver, and the tide flow was as squint, steered by a giant's finger, skull and bones hung so gaunt. They crossed o'er the borders where critters would growl and grunt, and came into danger, the bath was capsized by runts. The docks echoed with hammers, piers were merged at double joints, where the figureheads would clamber, the tin bath frothed up sea in pints. Seals played tag with lobsters, crabs hopscotched the boat's haunts, that was the Sea King's charter, maps in very ancient font. They leapfrogged the sailors, ships were dipped in sky for pent, floating puppet passengers, sea shanty soft laments. The tryst they left was blisters, they used the tin bath for a tent, and spread families as clusters, sharing groceries for rent. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That was brilliant. Thank you very much. And good to hear another northern voice there. One of the things I've been keenest today is to make sure we kind of showcase the whole breadth of Scots. So that's great. Andrew, we'll give you another try. And if no, we'll definitely have another of these events. So then I think you're getting off with Nady in it. Sorry about that. Okay, so Carole, we'll come to you next. You've a bonny castle ahin you.
So do you ken what castle it is? Fyfe Castle?
Fyfe, aye. My sister
Fyfe
bides in Fyfe.
Eh?
My sister bides in Fyfe.
Oh, does she? All
Aye,
right.
she does, aye, yeah.
Chances are I might ken her then.
Anne Clara Hugh.
Oh, yes.
What a small world.
Abdi kids on. She's an awful devil.
Well, this is a wee song. I thought there's been a lot of poetry, so I'll do a wee song. It's called the Pairt. Twa young lads belonged this nation, Forfar was their destination. Went out one night or so, I'm told, for to hae a midnight stroll. We a hide 'em, hold 'em, tumble like a daisy, we a tumble 'em alow. Now on their way they spied a pear tree, for pears they hung as guid as could be. And with this pear tree they felt inclined, so up this pear tree they did climb. We a hide 'em, hold 'em, tumble like a daisy, we a tumble 'em alow. Now up this pear tree we were landed, up this pear tree we were stranded. But it wasna the pears that caught worry, 'twas a lad and a lass lying in a low tree. We a hide 'em, hold 'em, tumble like a daisy, we a tumble 'em alow. Well, this young man began to embrace her, this young man began to unlace her. He put down his coat to save her goon, fin a the pears come a rumbling doon. We a hide 'em, hold 'em, tumble like a daisy, we a tumble 'em alow. Well, this young lad gazed up in wonder, we pelted down the pears like thunder. He picked up his lass and a wadded flee, and he left his coat lying in a low tree. We a hide 'em, hold 'em, tumble like a daisy, we a tumble 'em alow. Now the owner of the coat we did inquire, the owner of the coat was our desire. But the owner of the coat we never found out, so we got a bloody fine coat for nout. We a hide 'em, hold 'em, tumble like a daisy, we a tumble 'em alow. Here's a' ye lads and lasses far be, never dear courting in a lower pear tree. Or if you do, you'll hear us soon, fin a the pears come a rumbling doon. We a hide 'em, hold 'em, tumble like a daisy, we a tumble 'em alow.
Well sung.
Brilliant, Carole.
Thank you. Now I've got another poem, and this is a poem. It's by Douglas Kynoch, and it's got Nothing in Your Hand. If you bide in Aberdeen and pay a visit for a crack, there's a rule that Aberdonians man never break. And it doesn't really matter far you're gone, but you canna gain with nothing in your hand. It's never nothing fancy and it needna be a lot. A daffy for the garden or a cabbage for the plot. Or really only a little thingy that you think they hinna got, but you canna gain with nothing in your hand. Gin it's only half a pon of cooked ran, you canna gain with nothing in your hand. A bit of country butter that's come out of the wife's skein, a puke and a sweeties, or a plenty for the green. A great big pile of weekly newses with the crossword puzzles dean, but you canna gain with nothing in your hand. So it's just the Mrs. Thingy in her man, you canna gain with nothing in your hand. A tasty of your toffee, 2 or 3 tatties or a sprout, a biling of your rhubarb, or a basket of your fruit. It's more than likely when you ring their bell, the folk will have you out, but you canna gain with nothing in your hand. The folk that come to you should understand. They're welcome though they've nothing in their hand. You wish they wouldna bother, and for it's kindly meant, you canna but be vexed about the siller that they've spent. On making sure your house is stop at full o' stuff you dinna want, but you canna gain with nothing in your hand. And for ever you to can till on, you'll come out again with something in your hand. The clock is chop at 10, and so it's time for you to win. She plighters in her press and sign fichers in her tent. And sure as death, gives you fit you get her when you last look at end. But you canna gain with nothing in your hand. Thank you.
That was excellent. Thank you very much, Carole. Love that. Iona, you, I believe that you're next as well.
Well, I think I'm actually going to do a poem and then maybe a short sang. So for folk that didn't ken, I didn't start off singing. I started off doing the Doric poetry at the TMSA competitions, and it wasn't because I wanted to, it was because I was trailed along. Because my cousin did a Doric poem, and my other cousin, well, they played the fiddle and the box, and my uncle played the box, so I had to do something. So I was pretty much, it's not child abuse, I promise. I was just trailed along, and I was told, you'll do an Ian Middleton poem, and that was that. So I thought I would do the futret, and I've got some of the words up here, but the moral of this scene is that if you're a rabbit trapper and you're going about your daily job, don't go to the ball, the dance, with your futret. Gang awa hame, put your futret hame, dinna go to the dance with it, because there's only one place for it and it's doing your breeks and it doesn't go well. So it's called the futret. Wee Geordie, a countryman born and bred, was more than content with the life that he led. With his ferrets and snares he was kent far and wide as a best rabbit trapper on Different side. The locals for long had been trying to match him, and Fat Annie for years had been trying to catch him. But courting to Geordie was nae in his plans. With his futrets he felt he'd a nook on his hands. But a Saturday nicht coming hame by the hall, he was ta'en by the steer of the annual ball. The do, though a function for collar and tie, he decided to tack a bit squinty and by. Wee tough round his legs to block all funny leaks, he'd drap at the futret, he'd first doon his breeks. It hunted about till it settled with ease, and a spotty half wye tween his waist and his knees. With the bar and the hally, the da had a sup. The fleer was fair hobbling, near Abdi was up. Apart fae Fat Annie, the only wall flewer, like a 12-steen blind lump, looking out for a cure. She was boasting her courage wi' vodka and lime, when she spotted wee Geordie and wasted nae time afore he could dodge her or duck underneath. He was into a rockstern fechting for breath. They sailed round a fleer to a waltz country dance. Wee Geordie held ticht in a trouser romance. But the thought of the futret was wheel to the fore. With the pressure yon kind, the crater would smore. Syne he gied a bit shochel to get it to shift, and was thankful when sidewise it started to drift. It was then that Fat Annie let loose wi' a crack, and the neist thing he kent he was flat on his back. Weel, twa hunner he'd spurled to see if it was wrong, and Geordie, reed-faced, didna ken for to gang. He amid, oh God, I've forgotten. He didna see Annie let loose wi' oh God, I've actually made a mess with that. Right, okay. Blah, 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 blah. Amid the confusion and general row, hands sneak at hour and titted his tow. The women reacted like rats up a spout, wi' a scarling stampede fin a futrit come out. Fin its wee feet got a grip on a slippery flare, it changed out a second and into top gear, ignoring completely the skirled serenade. It shot out a secht among box lemonade. Well, the women were at the windies outside, and the vote was unanimous. It was there that they'd bide. The band, fair and joy in the brack for the ball, played Pop Goes the Weasel, sang double twa fall. But Geordie recovered and crawled in pursuit, and in nae time at a' he had trysted it out. But as soon as it was catched, he set off down a road, and fear that Fat Annie might up and reload. To this day he gets raged and files as a row, and he never discovered Fat titted the tow. And Annie, still keen on him, mony time quips, I'd feel mair secure gin you'd bicycle clips. That was a futrit written by Ian Middleton. So I'm just going to sing a really short wee song just now. And for those of you that are, familiar with a traditional singing scene, you would have known that over the past few days we've lost a complete and utter legend in Jock Duncan's passing. And of course, the first time I actually heard Jock, I would have been really young, and he would have been judging a Bothy Ballad competition. And then I think I would have been in my early teens, and he was judging the Turra Bothy Ballad competition. And I've never been so nervous in my life as having to sing in front of him, to be honest. But he sung a lot of these lang Bothy ballads and lang ballads. And it was kind of quite burly and, manly. And, Bothy ballads is really a male-dominated sport. But a lot of folk didn't really ken that on his first album, well, maybe it was that second album, the one that he released when he was 70-odd, he's actually got quite a bonny song, Cried When I Was No But Sweet 16, but he named it The Plue Boy Lads, which is fine enough. But it was nice, and it feels like a nice lullaby to put folk to sleep. But really it's about the dangers of getting involved with the farmers. So it's called When I Was No But Sweet 16, or The Plue Boy Lads. When I was new but sweet 16, and beauty was a bloomin', it's little did I think at 19 I'd be greetin'. For the Plue Boy lads, they're gay braw lads, but they're coarse and they're deceiving. For they'll take your all and they'll gang awa and leave the lassies grieving. Oh, I was fond o' company and gied the Plue Boys freedom. Take us and clap me in the dark, for all my friends were sleeping. For the Plue Boy lads, they're gay braw lads, but they're false and they're deceiving. For they'll take your all and they'll gang awa and leave the lassies greeting. It's hush-a-ba, for I'm your ma, but the Lord kens wha's your daddy. So it's quite take and you beware o' the Plue Boys in the gloamin'. For the Plue Boy lads, they're gay braw lads, but they're false and they're deceiving. For they'll take your all and they'll gang awa and leave the lassies grieving. If I had kenned what I knew ken, and ta'en my mither's bidding, oh, I would not be sitting by your fireside, crying hush-a-ba, my bairnie, oh. For the Plue Boy lads, they're gay braw lads, but they're false and they're deceiving. For they'll take your all and they'll gang awa and leave your lasses greeting, oh. So it's a song for Jock Duncan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Iona. That was a beautiful song, and I fair loved the futrit. I'm the awful keen on futrits animal, but the word futrit, his eye was cracked my up when I was a wee loon, and I think fit why. But it's certainly one of my favourite Doric words. We've got a wee bit extra time left, so we'll give Abdi that's kind of left in the call just a last opportunity to do another performance if anybody wants to. Susie, I've seen your hand up first, so by all means.
Yeah, I kind of just jumped in there last time. I was kind of nervous, weirdly enough, but I feel like I'm in a safe space. Everybody's lovely. One of the things I'm doing now is co-hosting your wee podcast with Alan McClure, which is a storytelling and sang podcast for Rains. And what we want to do is get as many voices that exist, all the melodies that exist across this lovely nation to take part. So if anybody would like to come forward and have a wee word with us, we'd be interested to hear from you. So this is one of my own stories, my own poem stories. It's called Ode to Igor, and it's based on the fact that when I was wee, I was scared of speeders, and my father called them Igor. And this poem explains that. There's an awfully big speeder living in my shed, with 9 muckle een and 8 pursy legs, 2 snashy fangs for chowing up fleas, and 8 pursy books on his 8 pursy knees. Being kind of fierce, I tried not to show it, but the grass was getting long and I needed to mow it. So I tapped on the shed door and I cried out, "Allah! I'm coming in, Igor, because I'm needing a mower." Igor shouted back, "Aye, me botherhead, dinna you fear me. I'm just hanging on my web, wrapping up my tea." So now I didn't fash myself about Igor in my shed, with his 2 snashy fangs and his 8 fussy legs. I'm no fear the beasties, since I gave them a wee name. I gave them a voice to talk with. It's a fabby wee game. Beasties like to hae a recht good blether. They mostly sit and gab about evening and the weather. Igor and me are friends, and always will be. He just minds his own business, catching fleas for his tea. I've beastie friends all over, in my garden and the shed, where bides Mary the slater, Igor the speeder, and an earwig back off red. There you go. I'll not take up any more time. There you go. Someone else can have a shot.
Lovely, Susie. Thanks very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else want to Elaine?
Go on.
Go for it, please do. Aye.
Totally different style. And I guess this one is for women of a certain age, for all the waspy women in Scotland. That's all the women that were born in the 1950s that had their pension stolen at very short notice by the Westminster government. A wee waspy woman was sitting fuming, stewing, feared and flummoxed. Who could it be in this century that a government could steal their pension, laying 3.7 million women sitting fuming, stewing, feared and flummoxed, with nae concern for her misery? Now waspy swarm are gathered round maist every tune, fuming, stewing, feared and flummoxed. English courts said it was no discrimination. No, it was maladministration. Waspy woman will no lay doon to be tramped on by them in government, or Jews we hae paid. Thegither we ston, we're here to bide. We paid in, you pay out. We need to get this sorted out. For our doctors and granwains, we hae to won, so they can learn ordinary folk wherein the reft can join together to be treated fair and just. Thank you.
Okay, 2 words there, Elaine. I'm Muckle, I can disagree with there, and beautifully recited. Anybody else want to get?
Could I go, Phil?
Aye, yeah. I think
Thank you.
Marcus, you're keen to. Yeah,
Carole, Pryor, will you do another song? Yeah? Okay.
Cool. So we'll go Chris, Marcus, Carole. So I'll give you a bit of time to prepare yourselves.
Okay, thank you. Gills are dialect raps. A kettle boiled gale force poor sea o'er the dock. We bond spit fae a main course o'er blesses level rocks. Boats traverse the trails o' shoals, up on layers o' maps. Isles are tins, cups and bowls, gills are dialect raps. Waves ladder stun to sop, nets are spun like webs. A coral kaleidoscope, strobes floodlight the ebb. And mermaids mugshots. Mermaids mugshots, landladies are thick as thieves, traffic is on the trot, naked forests slip their lives. Docks are driftwood bits o' huts that hung o'er boats shoehorned, ships need first aid for their cots, the figurehead is very stern. The sea is soup o' oil spill clots that plugs the geos and caves, puddle gauges reed o' knots and crosses o' pirate graves. Buried we their gold crocks by the servants and the slaves, we sails like dripping socks that would wring out money waves. Tooth nails poke a fishing box, mas roost in for a nest, Nietern dunders o' their crocks, crook by a crooked mast. And disabilities duchess. I'm a autistic moose, 10 cans become a lighthouse, disabilities duchess, a damsel in distress. Aiming to be a journalist in rooms wi' poltergeists, I get errors o' advice for the pacts and cults o' mice. Pipe dreams to be a author, but I hae no bait or anchor, so I'm in a merry dance, wark and bills never balance. Stung and scalded with the stigma, bus numbers are like a witcher. I travel in raucous chariots, horse and carts, chase car carrots. Tools are dysfunctional, a tug o' war in hell. Between cowboys and Indians, artists are Rumpelstiltskin. A bin wi' a blustering wheeze coughed out the prophecies o' disabled folk and breast, and no dismissed or disgraced. They win wars and the rat race, so a the tumult they have faced. The architects o' the streets and no get copied by false cheats. Compensated for other mocks, sculptures will burst for Santy socks, be jewels on royalty shelves, they will apprentice ad elves. And a poisoned apple. They gave me a poisoned apple. I took Noah's Ark o'er puddles, then was laid by untuned fiddles, compass readings were our riddles. Boats passed across as shuttles, they were stuck inside a bottle. Cabins were a whale's stomach, and seals and gulls were slung in hammocks. As a pierced and tattooed maiden, I searched trees for friends in Eden. Being so trouble-laden, skeleton invites to weddings. Viking tandem ships sailed oceans, I whacked the plank on missions. Port Hoyle shadowed, distractions, waltz and satin pepper friction. When I returned with my antlers, burst pumpkins for bites o' winter. The mould was shards and splinters, sticks and stones left for the hunters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely, Chris.
Lovely. And jump over to Marcus.
Okay. We'll see if the share screen works. I thought I would share a song that I released earlier this year in response to the continued abuse of Gaelic and Scots speakers in the Scottish and mainstream press. And I'd like to say thanks to a couple of the heroes that make cameos. You'll probably recognize a couple of them. Oh, I can't do it because it says the host disable participant screen sharing.
1 second, hold on.
All
Wait
right.
a minute. Okay, does it work now?
It does indeed.
This is exciting. Now, Abdi, this is really exciting. This
I don't know if it's that exciting, Iona.
It's cool, and it's really innovative, and it's really important, and it sends a really good message. So yeah.
Thank you.
Cursuise.
There we go. Thank you. Taffalin.
Lauren Tang, I definitely made my talk tint. I have to say it was a brilliant production. Thank you so much for sharing that,
Yeah.
Marcas. A wee surprise at the Kenford. It's been a surprise for me tonight at the Kenford saw coming. Okay, so kind of conscious of time, so we're going to probably finish up with you, Carole.
Okay.
So without further ado,
Right, okay. As everybody knows, I'm very fond of the women poets of the Northeast, and so this is a little poem by Marian Angus, and I think the tune was by Dave White. It's called, just a wee short one, it's called The Wild Lassie. Homeward you're travelling in the soft rain, the day lang by, that ye wearied o' the glen, nearing upon your hand, nae kiss upon your moo, quiet noo, nae ring upon your hand, nae kiss upon your moo, quiet, quiet noo. Called was the lift a bin ye, and the road baith rock and steep, nae farther shall ye wander, nor greet yoursel tae sleep. My ain wild lass, my bonny hearted doo, quiet noo. My ain wild lass, my bonny hearted doo, quiet, quiet noo. There's fiddlers and dancers and steps gay by the door, nae farther shall ye wander, nor greet yoursel tae sleep. Peace come on the wind, and peaceful with the dew, quiet noo. Peace come on the wind, and peaceful with the dew, quiet, quiet noo. Thank you.
that was just a braw note to finish on, and Carole. So thank you very much for that. Well, I have to say, I've really enjoyed sitting back and yabbling on a wee bit in between yous, but thank you so much, Abdi, for that part. And I think Abdi is watching will agree. It's just been a really brilliant showcase of the sort of real cultural diversity that we've got in Scots, and it's anything but a dying language. And I think the future is looking really bright for us. With that said, we've still a wee bit of work to do, so if you've not joined us yet in our Vyce, please do. This is going to be a brilliant year for us. We've got a lot to do, and Mark folk in the Parliament really take notice of the Scots lead properly, Eunson for our. So yeah, thank you very much. I'll pass over to Iona for the last word. I wouldn't like to.
Oh, well, that was such a lovely song, Carole. Yeah, just echoing what Phil was saying, it's so nice to see folk fae the country doing their thing, and we'll be sure to do more of this, because there was heaps more people. That's very nice. Marcas and Margaret are saying, "Gies another song." I'll finish up with just one song, and it's called "Tak a Dram Afore You Go," and it was written by Ian Sinclair, and it's a lovely ending song. But yeah, a huge thanks. Please join our Vyce as a member. Don't worry that you don't have to do anything as a member. You can come to member meetings. You can do things, but you don't have to. All it is you join up as a member, and then it bolsters our membership. But don't worry that it's there's no commitment, there's no things that you hate to do. It's just you're a member, and if you choose to come along to a meeting, that's fine. But if you've not got time, that's also fine. But you can join on our website, www.yourvyce.scot/join. There's loads of stuff happening. It's really exciting. But don't worry, it's no commitment. You just join as a member, and then that's it, really. Okay, so tak a dram afore you go. Sounds a bit like the Flintstones a wee bit. So everyone, I've got my dram here, Iron Brew product placement. Okay. Oh, this evening's passing quickly, and the music's almost done. We've heard the piper and the fiddler, the singer and her song. The time has come for us to leave ye, a last song afore we go. Say button up and I be cheery, tak a dram afore you go. Say button up and I be cheery, tak a dram afore you go. Oh, this evening's passing quickly, and the music's been just fine. But the cold grey land o' Caithness can be cruel and unkind. We must bid farewell and leave ye, travel through the ice and snow. Say button up and I be cheery, tak a dram afore you go. Say button up and I be cheery, tak a dram afore you go. Say good night and God be with ye, and watch over ye until we can all meet here together, and our glasses we'll fill. We'll drink our health to absent friends, let the bead and fusky flow. Say button up and I be cheery, tak a dram afore you go. Say button up and I be cheery, tak a dram afore you go. Tak a dram, Abdi, thanks for coming. And we'll let kill the link and we'll say goodbye. Okay.